How should a beginner start to play golf? First of all, you should choose the right club. And the right club is not the 7-iron, although almost anybody starts golf with a 7-iron because everybody thinks it's the iron that's in the middle. It's neither a short club nor a long club, so it must be the correct club to start with. And I think it's much too difficult to hit a 7-iron, especially if you hit it off the grass or off a mat without a tee. And whenever you learn something, you should be able to achieve a success rate of about 50%. Because if you do something and only in 10% of the cases you are successful, it gets way too frustrating. So if you start with a wedge and if you tee the ball up and if you only do slow half swings, as a beginner, usually it is difficult enough to achieve a success rate of 50%. And as soon as you're getting bored, because 60–70% of the balls are going to be airborne and almost straight, anything in between a corridor of 20 meters to the right or 20 meters to the left is straight. As soon as you're getting bored, then you can start to do something that's a little bit more difficult. For example, you can do it a little bit faster, you can make swings that are a little bit longer, and as soon as you're getting bored with that, then you can choose a 9-iron and then a 7-iron, and maybe after 10 times you can start trying to hit a 7-iron without a tee. But everything else is way too difficult. The next question is, what should you concentrate on while swinging the golf club? Of course, you need to start with your grip. And the average beginner usually tries to put his left hand on the club while the golf club is in front of him. And this usually ends up in a position which looks like this. But the correct grip would be one where you can hold the club just with your left index finger and the heel pad of your left hand. And if you can now lift the club like this, you just need to close the rest of the fingers and you will have a position in which the club runs diagonally through your left hand. This is the correct position, and you can test whether your grip is correct or not when you're able to lift it up off the ground almost 90 degrees with almost no effort at all. So my recommendation would be to grip the club on the left side of your body, because in this position you almost automatically end up in a correct position with your left hand. And if you finish this, then you can take the club in front of your body and place your right hand on the club. You start with the 2 middle fingers. The 2 middle fingers come from below, and as soon as you close them, they should barely touch your left thumb. Your pinky should be placed in between those 2 fingers, and this is called the overlapping grip, but you could also choose a baseball grip or an interlocking grip. It's really not that important. What is important is the position of your 2 hands. The typical beginner tends to turn both hands outward, and then it looks like this. With the left hand placed on the club like this, you will usually end up hitting slices. So make sure that you got your left hand in a cup position like this. If your right hand tends to do this, this is not that bad, because usually if you're hitting slices, this will only help to close the club face. Only if you tend to hook the golf ball, then you should be concerned turning the right hand more over like this. Next, you need to learn your posture. You bend slightly from the knees and then forward from your waist with a relatively straight back, but you don't need to be over concerned to have a back which is 100% straight. If you're a little rounded in this part, that's absolutely okay. Your ball position with a wedge is in the middle of your stance, and the distance to the ball is measured between your butt end and your thighs, and you should get a fist in between those 2. The big advantage if you're starting with a wedge is that it's not so important whether you end up with an open club face or a closed club face at impact, because the ball won't slice or hook a lot. So you have quite a bit of variance that's possible, and you will still end up with a shot that's quite straight. The other advantage, if you're using a tee, is that you have more tolerance regarding the height. You can either end up a little bit too low or a little bit too high, and you will still see that the ball will get airborne. The most important thing you need to be concerned about is that you hit the ball with a sweet spot, and neither with the heel of the club or the toe of the club. And there's one little drill I would recommend doing, and you need 2 more balls. If you place another ball in front of your club, about a finger width away, and a second ball behind the heel of your club, also about a finger width away, then you get feedback after every shot whether you hit the sweet spot or whether you ended up hitting off the toe. Then you will see that this ball will also fly, and if you hit it off the heel, you will see that the outer ball will move as well. So let me demonstrate a shot where I hit the sweet spot, hopefully, and only the middle ball will fly. How can you make sure that you hit the sweet spot? The most important thing is to swing the golf club on the correct plane. This would be the correct plane, and there are only 2 ways in which you can deviate from the correct plane. You can either be too steep or too shallow. Usually you are too steep if you're just using your arms and you don't turn your shoulders at all while swinging the club back. If you're on a plane which is too shallow, usually your arms and your club follow the shallow turn of your shoulders, and this looks like this, and the correct movement would be to turn your shoulders but to swing your arms up a little bit so they end up in this position. So the only swing thought you should have is turn your shoulders while you swing the club up, and now you try to swing the club down on the same plane you swung it up on. Let me demonstrate this a final time. And remember, don't increase the difficulty before you're able to hit more than 50% of the shots airborne and in the direction you're aiming at.